That one died. This one's back.
He's developed this new capacity for
Look, yeah, my shadow is so
he's just
powerful.
proliferating.
Yeah, this is the next generation of
Wait,
shadows.
so it's not
Can you get rid of the other one? Because I think that first one for some
right.
reason was echoing, and I have no idea why. But I put these like podcast bro headphones on.
Yeah, I know. I can
I-
tell.
Is this too? Is this might be too podcast bro for your audience?
I think it makes us look very professional.
Yeah,
I I think that's a nice way of Barry saying, "Sure, you can wear."
yeah. I need like a boom over here. Like I'll crack some jokes.
Oh my gosh. You guys, I just like shoveled 7 pieces of bacon in my mouth. That's like a big deal because 1, I didn't eat meat for like 10 years, and 2, I'm not supposed to eat bacon because Sadiq's a Muslim and technically I converted. But
Not
Uh,
telling.
it's
Not
so
not
good.
telling.
It's so good.
Oh, he's gonna see it on here. He's gonna know the truth.
You know, the
Rosalie
Okay.
first Go ahead.
Oh,
No.
Rosalie started doing like 4 pieces of bacon, like the pre-cooked kind, which I think is kinda gross, but, like, every morning she's just, like, throwing it in the microwave. That's her thing, and grabbing it on the way out. Yeah.
All through high school, that's all I ate was bacon and buttered toast.
Bacon is so good.
Oh,
Oh, it's heaven.
it's just so damn good. But anyway, so I just like shoveled 7 pieces in my mouth. Okay, so let's try this again.
It's not gonna happen.
It seems like your Wi-Fi is working really well. So
It's not gonna happen.
it's gonna work out
My
great.
dog look, Ashley, you'll like this. My dog wouldn't, come in from outside today. So, Barry, I
Did he
don't know if you
scream at
know,
her?
Ashley and I have this I think I was on one of the dark shadows, and, I was like, "My dog," I got so pissed off at her, and I think I forgot who was on there that was like, "That's really" they were worried about me.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and so I was like, "Oh god, I'm gonna get banned from dark shadows because of my dog behavior," and so then now I'm like usually she would go out, come right back in, and, nah, she has her own thing that she does, so she's just sitting out there like, "Screw you, guy.
You
I'm
think
not."
she's sort of picks up the vibe of the dark shadow group and responds to it?
I really don't know, like, she started this new thing. I mean, we've got, like, the deer and coyote and a bunch of we've had all this snow, so she's going off on her own adventure, but now, yeah, I think she's just like, I don't have to listen to you, man."
Yeah.
Like, she might be like a version of my shadow, she's just sort of like, "Look, I know you love me, but"
She's
you
on
know,
strike. She
she's
just
doing her thing,
uh,
and it's crazy how pissed off it makes. It's like, "You just I have nothing but good for you," you
right.
know? There's rubs, there's love. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, so
No accounting for
here we go.
dogs.
Close other Riverside browser tabs.
Yeah, close
Let
if
me
you had
try
other
that.
tabs open, close them.
How do I know if I'm
Oh, is that
closing the
right?
right one?
Well, don't close the one you're on, just
I
close the
might.
others.
Alright.
Mine says, "Please keep this tab open until the upload is done."
Yeah, Barry, you don't close anything. It's
Oh,
Patrick.
okay.
Alright, I'm
Okay.
gonna close one. I don't know if it's the right one. 50-50 on this.
Alright, well,
Alright.
I
Close
love
that
this.
one.
I think we should just put this out as
This
a
is more
podcast.
fun.
yeah,
Yeah, this is more fun than anything else.
this is
That
Alright.
definitely I should have brought my actually, I have
Alright,
my
here's another one. Ready?
cards. We should pull them.
Oh, shit.
You're still
No,
there.
stay
I'm,
on
like, holding my
page.
I know.
I got the same thing as Spirit. Keep this open until the upload is done.
And don't close that one.
Alright. Here's one more.
Alright.
What's uploading, Ashley?
Us. We're
Alright.
uploading, all of us.
Alright, I'm gonna try one more.
It's okay. Well, while he's closing out tabs, we have oh, there he goes.
Oh, Jesus.
We had Patrick Brown with us again for the second time recording, and maybe this time will work.
God
I
just
don't
decided to
know.
take Patrick
I
out.
know. I know. Well, it's back to just me and Barry. Oh, well, here we go again. Should we talk about death or
Yeah,
darkness?
sure.
Which
What
one?
the hell? Cosmic rage again.
That's what we're good at. Um, okay, well, I was gonna introduce him, but we'll just wait a minute. Maybe he'll come back.
Patrick's
Not.
funny.
I'm gonna go make some more bacon.
God, that sounds so good.
Right? I know. I know. It was. It was so good. It was worth every bit of the guilt that I have. There he is
Now I'm
again.
like, it's like when I'm eavesdropping in a restaurant, like, where's the guilt? What was the
Uh-huh.
guilt from?
The bacon.
Yeah, it's worth it.
Um, okay, so we have Patrick. Oh, now talk about dogs. I have a babysitter for the baby, but I didn't get one for the dog. We have Patrick Brown here again. We're gonna try and see if this works this time. Patrick is a
Try not
is
to
a
sound so tired.
God, you
I
sound
know, is
so
a kitty.
excited.
Patrick
Oh
Brown.
God,
Yeah,
this guy.
we have Patrick
Oh,
Brown
this guy.
again.
Jeez.
He is a Patrick Brown is a pediatric epilepsy specialist. Did I get that right? That's pretty good, right? I think so. He's here with us today to talk all things shadow with Barry and who knows what else. Maybe showers, maybe not.
We talk about God.
And I think that is where I think that's where I'll leave you to. I think I'm gonna disappear
Are you gonna try
now
to edit? Are you
unless
gonna
you
try to edit old stuff, or do we need to? Or that's trash.
No, no, we're gonna keep some of that stuff. That's gonna be used for something
This,
else. There's too much gold
That
in
sounds
there.
like
yeah, it's either
blackmail,
I
actually.
know. No, I'm definitely gonna use some of that stuff. It was pretty golden. There's just a lot of technical difficulties because we had to get our Wi-Fi
sorry
upgraded,
about that.
but we're gonna give this a whirl, and I will be in the background. But you two be cautious of time, so I don't have to come back in here.
Yeah, I saw the
Um,
invitation was like, you cut my window. I
I
saw
cut it
that.
at
Yeah,
45.
you're like, I'm just protecting Barry.
I'm protecting
Hey, we
our
gotta take care of
guru
Barry.
over
Yeah.
He's got
yeah.
he's
I
got
need
some
my
fresh
I need
he's
my
got fresh
nap.
juice fresh juice over there, and
Right.
yeah, and his bed's turned back.
I'll need a blood
Yeah.
transfusion after this one. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm his I'm his operations person and his bodyguard, so don't make me come back in. Um, I am gonna leave you two. Let me know if you need anything. I'll be behind the scenes. Enjoy
I'll do it.
Patrick. Enjoy
Oh man, I
Barry.
will.
Give me
We
the
will.
sign if you need saving. No.
Ashley, please, please.
Take it easy on you, Barry. Hey,
This is great.
thanks so
It's
much for
good to
doing
talk
this.
to you. Oh, listen, I love it.
I
I
know I'll be
really
silly plenty, probably, but it is an honor to get to just hang out with you, talk to you.
well, it's great to talk to you
I
too.
even brewed some coffee, so I was like, I'm just gonna pretend, like I'm sitting down having a little coffee with Barry. What
That's so
what
nice. You can offer me
you
some.
spill your
Yes.
coffee last time.
No, wait.
So
Yeah, I think I did. That's right.
I wasn't sure you were ready yet.
You're right.
We'll
Right.
check in with Ashley. Um, so I had a couple questions. Are you cool if I just do it that way? I have
Totally.
selfish questions that I could ask, but also have some other just general questions. I was just curious what's the day in the life of Barry look like now, like 2026?
Boy, it's pretty wild. 'Cause I don't sleep at night. I get maybe 5 hours. I mean, there was a couple of nights ago where there was no sleep. Just I was up the
Mm.
entire night. Fortunately, for some reason, I have a tremendous amount of energy, so the next day I was fine, and I just functioned. I usually get out of bed around 5. I come up here, which is a study that we built over our garage. It sort of serves as my office, and I just start work. I love generating
Mm.
material for the tools for our sort of quasi organization. So I write poetry and I like give a little preface to the poetry and then I record it and then Ashley puts it up on whatever it is, YouTube or whatever our
I think
channel
it's on
is.
the internet somehow.
Maybe,
She
yeah,
uses the
you're
World
right.
Wide Web to get it out there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm revealing my ignorance. Um, but I just try you know, these days, I'm just trying to generate as much material as I can for people because there's such a wealth of information, part of which I learned from Phil Stutz, part of which I generated on my own, and I love putting that stuff out, and I don't really feel the need to charge for it or anything, I just think it should be out there, because it's so I don't know, there's something delicious about this information, at least it excites me. I don't know if it excites anyone else, but, um, I love putting it out, it really excites me, and I hear good things back from people that, it's sort of turning them on too, and it gives me a chance to explore that weird nexus between mythology, psychology, spirituality, that I just love sort of reveling in that
Yeah.
neighborhood. Um, so that's kind of what I do. And then maybe, I'll see, depending on the day, 3 to 5 people a
Wow.
day.
So that's
Yeah,
still
it's not,
that's still nothing. I mean, not nothing, like,
it's nothing compared to what
oh
I
gosh,
used to see 10 people a
really?
day. But
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
yeah. Yeah, which I wouldn't be able to do that anymore, it's too
So
much.
you're still creating stuff, you're still
Yeah,
generating stuff. I mean, that was one of the things I was thinking about, like, with you guys, if you had to think about or, like, just make a list of or catalog of, like, I wonder how many tools have actually been developed and how many different shadows have you guys if some I don't even know if that exists anywhere of, like, this is sort of all of the
no,
stuff, much less sort of, putting meat on those bones, but it's stuff that, like and even all the nuance to it that's like, these are things you're doing in session with people that no one else really knows how
yeah,
to get in. What do you think
yeah, and a
if you
lot of
had to
it
just
oh,
spitball, like, numbers on that stuff?
I have no idea. I mean, there are just so many tools, and we've not done a good job of cataloging them and, cross-referencing them and organizing them or anything. I think both Phil and I are more kind of like generative, and we love creating new stuff, but we hate the task of actually organizing it into a digestible
Right.
form. So, I mean, it's pretty organized on the website, but it could be a lot better organized than it is. But I don't know. I have a limited amount of time left and I don't want to spend it cataloging things. I want to spend it generating more stuff and inspiring people and that stuff. And somebody else, if they really feel compulsive about
Right.
it, they can organize.
No, yeah, you keep doing what you're doing. We need
Yeah.
it, we love it.
Yeah.
Do you feel time time crunch or time pressure to like, "All right, let's get it out there, or let's get it done?"
I do, but the truth is, Patrick, I've felt a time pressure since I was like 5 years old. I've always felt that time pressure. I've always been aware of my mortality. I've always felt like, God, I gotta get this done, kind of thing. Not in a terrible, anxious way, but just in a kind of like, come on, let's
Yeah,
do things kind of way. So it doesn't I don't feel like I'm about to die and I've got to get things done. It's not that kind of pressure. Um, but it's definitely a sort of an awareness that the time is running out, you know? Um, it's funny. There's an awareness of it, but it doesn't create pressure. It just feels like I just have to be aware of this and do as much as I possibly can
mm.
before I die, you know?
Yeah, I had a weird thing, like, my dad, he died in June, had been battling cancer for a while, and he was 79, but the last few months, I got to be with him, really helping to take care of him. He was on hospice and, really seeing him deteriorate, over, 4 or 5 months there at the end. But I had this weird sense, and I'm trying to, like, kick it now where, it's almost like life is so fleeting. It's so, like a mist or like a whisper. and I don't know if I would put this in, is this a part X thing or whatever, but it's just sort of like, uh, like it's gonna pass like that, and before you know it, so I don't know. It was sort of like, instead of, I was listening to your desire talk driving to work this morning, and it was really, I was doing one of those things where it's like, if you're in church, I'd be the one being like, yes, yes. I mean, like, I need to hear this, because I feel like at 50, there's all these other things I want to accomplish that are different from being a doctor, being like
Yeah.
identified with this one role that I feel like, okay, I know how to do those things, but I'd rather spend my time in other ways, or doing other things. But I don't know if that makes any sense. Um,
It makes so much sense. It feels to me like there's definitely some sort of age, and I think it's probably different with different people, but where there's a need to break out of the mold that you've been in, whatever that mold is, whether it's a profession that you've pursued or parenting or whatever, and to experience a kind of an expansion of self, a feeling of like, I'm
mm,
more than I've allowed myself to be, and sometimes it's just that life has forced me to, focus on certain things, but there's a need to expand beyond that. And I think that that's very, very important. It's not always possible. I mean, sometimes people just have to make money and they can't, spare the time to do that. But those of us who are privileged enough to be able to do that, it's in my experience, a period of tremendous growth. Like you never know quite who you're gonna become by the end of that. But it involves, I don't know, for me, it involved a lot of fundamental changes in my personality and who I was, and fears that I had always given into in the past that I was no longer giving into, and things like that. And it's a wonderful feeling because it's kind of like, wow, I'm so much more than I thought I was. I'm not so limited by those things as I always
yeah.
was.
And a scary time too, I think, for everyone around you is sort of like, oh no, this is dad. This is the guy. He's gonna
Yeah.
go and do these
Yeah.
things. And
Won't you just please
yeah,
stay the
yeah, yeah.
same?
Lauren's like, I think the other night we were, you got to meet her, I think, and we both think she's probably the funniest person that we know. But I was talking about some of this, and spirituality that I've been looking at, just in the Orthodox tradition, and I'm like, and then it would involve like chrismation and being tonsured, and she's like, "Now
Wow.
is this what people talk about when they talk about growing apart? We just grew apart," and she said it with this cute little, twinkle in her eye, like,
Right.
but,
Uh,
but just knowing that, like, there's this sense of like, "All right, there's more, how
yeah.
can I welcome that?" You know? Yeah.
Yeah, and that very often is a kind of a friction point in a marriage because you're becoming different, and that's not necessarily better for the other person. It always involves an adaptation, and even if it is better, it's still
Mm,
change, which is difficult for
yeah.
people. Um, Although my wife seems to have adapted incredibly seamlessly to the changes I've undergone. It's kind of miraculous.
Yeah, I think, yeah, yeah, I remember even, like, taking Lauren to, I think, up to, Omega for the first time when I had been doing a lot of, the shadow work and all that, and I was terrified because this was sort of, it's a whole other language, it's a whole other realm, and I'm like, "She's gonna I'm like, I want her to be a part of it, but is she gonna get up there and be like, 'What is going on with this?'"
Did
Well,
you
yeah,
join a
you got
cult
what
or
part?
something?
What? And then this shadow, and then that, and all of it really spoke to her, which was great. And then, we had this, kinda like hilarious meal. We came back home, and some of our best friends were like, "Hey, yeah, let's go out to dinner. We wanna hear about your weekend." And instead of just sort of playing it cool and being like, "Yeah, it was good," it was a lot that we learned, we just sort of dropped a little too much on them, and we were like, "Oh, well, you've got this shadow, and then don't forget about part A," and they, like, looked at us with these bug eyes, like, you know,
Oh my god, you've
yeah,
joined
"We'll
a
keep you in
cult.
our prayers," well, what is going on with these? And so, that's another reason that I was thinking about, talking with Ashley, and it is nice to have the community so you can sort of have a little bit of common, like, okay, other people understand this language that we're speaking,
Yeah.
because I think really a lot of what you guys have tapped into and identified is these are universal, like you talked about. There's a lot. This is sort of universal, kind of mythological things that you guys have just been able to name and articulate in a way that's beautifully, helpful for all of us.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's been so interesting. I look back on, like, the first Omega that Phil and I did together, and I was, oh my god, I was so anxious and so tongue-tied and so stiff and wooden. Like, I could not I could not depart from a script. I had to have everything literally written out word for word. Poor Phil. I feel for him.
Well, like even reading, I was going back and reading, I think, where he was talking about kind of inner authority and the first I mean I think we've all had these episodes or these moments where we've tried to present in front of people. Like I remember I had to give this talk in front of a psychiatrist was supposed to present on like behavioral aspects of tuberous sclerosis, this, form of neurologic disease, and they canceled at the last second, and they were like, "Oh, Patrick, you like psychiatry. Why don't you do it?" And so I
Great.
just
Jesus.
crammed as much stuff as I could, and this is to parents who are they're gonna be the experts on their kids, and I
Yeah,
and
of
I got in
course.
front of it was maybe 50 folks, wasn't that big, but I was so nervous. I froze. I couldn't my mouth was so dry, I couldn't get a word out. They had to wheel the cart with the water up to me. It was the most embarrassing
Jesus.
thing ever. And so they wheeled it out. Someone served me some water, and I was like, "Here I am, like this expert doctor." Like, I'm like, "I'm gonna pass out." And so finally, I just, like, sat down on the edge, and I was kind of, like, admitted, like, "I don't know what I'm talking about. Why don't you guys just tell me what it's like for you?" But I remember
Yeah,
oh,
that's
you
smart.
drive out of the parking deck, and you're like, "I'm gonna never recover, from this."
Well, public speaking is the number one fear. I mean, it's higher than fear of death, fear of torture. Fear people are terrified of public speaking.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to know that, like, all right, even people that are pretty good at yeah, we've all sort of had those moments, or even for me, it's as I'm trying to sort of start some communities or start some organization, yeah, it's like, how do I do that? And now with all the technology, you think you're supposed to have like 1,000,000 followers and blah blah. But I kind of love hearing it, even for you guys. Like when you started out, it was like, wasn't it like I mean, like Phil in like a dingy conference room or.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I remember way back when Phil would give little workshops in his apartment, which was a dingy little place on Texas Avenue in West LA. It was like it sort of smelled of like dirty
That's
socks and stuff. It was crazy.
yeah. I don't know. Even just when I hear Phil's apartment, I automatically smell dirty socks. I don't know if that's the story that has just been retold so many times. It's like why
Hilarious.
did Phil's socks smell so bad?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't
But, over time, I mean, it has to feel I mean, what does it feel like to see, like, what you've been able to build,
feel so good. It just feels so good. I don't feel like I'm responsible for it. I mean, I was part of it, but it feels magical to me. And magical in so many different ways. A, that it happened. B, that I'm as integral a part of it as I am because I was a diehard loner for most of my life. And to find myself, like, ensconced in this organization where people look up to me and I'm definitely a part of it, I can't not be a part of it anymore. It's just weird. It's like, who did I become? It's so I
Yeah,
love it. I really, truly love it, but it's surprising. I have to kinda slap myself and remind myself that this is who I am now,
yeah, and yeah, that's the beauty. It's sort of like, who are we becoming? And it's
Yeah.
almost like it just sort of happens to us in some like, in some
Yeah,
way.
life kinda takes over and it decides who you're gonna be more powerfully than you can in a certain way, you know?
Yeah, even just, I was thinking about I mean, it makes it sound like I had these great drives to work, but I was thinking about just serendipity, the other day, and just, how, like, "Oh, I didn't get in med school this 1 year," and, at the time, you think like, "Oh, that's the worst thing ever, like, my life's not gonna work out," and then you realize, like, well, the year I got in, I got to be really best friends with this guy who introduced me to my wife who was in Cincinnati, who changed you see all
Yeah,
these sort of things that happen in your
yeah.
life, and
Yeah, it looks so different in hindsight than it does while you're living it, because there's so much uncertainty and fear and everything while you're living it, but, like, in retrospect, you're just like, "That's a damn good life." Like,
right.
how the hell
Right.
did that
In the middle of
happen?
it, like right now, like I'll get off this call and I'll be like holding on so hard to this life. Like, if I gotta make this thing work out, it's like maybe just
Right.
relax a little bit and let
Yeah,
chill the freak
exactly.
out. And
It's really almost like a theological issue. It's like, can you just trust that something bigger than you is in charge and it's gonna
yeah,
be okay, mostly,
yeah.
so,
Well, man, it's so good to hear.
no.
Ashley, are we good on
Well, it's
time?
great.
Ashley's not giving us any signals or anything, is she?
Yeah. She's
Oh, she's
probably
gone.
left.
She's gone.
She's gone.
All right, I have another. This is sort of a little bit of like this is like a very pre-planned question. I have a Barry mode too, where it's like, all right, let me make sure I have this thing. Um, we talked a little bit last time about Malcolm Guite. This is obscure. I'm getting into like
Oh,
obscure
yeah.
land, but about the rhyme of the
Uh,
ancient mariner,
yeah, I love that you know
and
that stuff. That's
he's so
so
good.
happy.
But so I always think about the beginning of that poem, or it's sort of like the mariner comes up and he sort of grabs the wedding guest, and he's like, listen to my tale. Um, s I was thinking of like, okay, here I am, this 50 almost 50-year-old dude, if I'm kinda wedding guest, and then I've got Barry coming back from the ship, and you're like, "Listen to my tale," like, what would I'm like, you get like one bit of advice to tell like this 50-year-old dude sitting across the table from you. Is there something that you would say, "Hey, look, man, like this is" yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there definitely is. And I wouldn't have I wouldn't have had that answer until I got LBD, but I guess what I would say is that sometimes the things that you think would be the worst things that could possibly happen to you often turn out to be incredibly beneficial and instructive. Don't get me wrong, I don't wish LBD on anybody, but God, sometimes life just knocks you so inside out that you make changes that you never even thought were possible, let alone even desirable. And that's what happened to me with LBD. It really changed everything. Um, and I know it sounds weird to say this, but I'm very appreciative to it for precipitating the changes that it made. I mean, one of the biggest changes was that I've spent my whole life just being as invulnerable
Mm,
as possible. It was just impossible to be vulnerable in my family of origin because my mother was just so intrusive. Anything that if you gave her an inch, she would take a mile. I mean, it was just horrible. So I spent my whole life playing everything very, very close to the chest. And LBD somehow just broke through all of those defenses. So I found myself talking vulnerably to people I didn't even know about stuff that was really deep and emotional for me. And to my great surprise, it was not only beneficial to me to open up to people like that, it was beneficial to
mm,
them. That was the real surprise. It was like, "You mean I'm being a
mm.
benefit to you by talking about this stuff?" And yet I was. It was clearly because people were thanking me all over the place. So there was that. So there was the ability to open up and rely on people and get support from people. There was another real surprise, which was, you know, we haven't known each other that long, but for most of my life, I have been unable to speak without a script. And I mean, sometimes even with
Mm,
friends, I would think through what I was gonna say to them before I said it because I needed to because I had no faith in my ability to improvise or just be spontaneous. And it was dangerous to be spontaneous in
mm,
my family because my mother was so smart and, excuse my language, but such a bitch that you just had to be really careful what you said, and so I was very studied in, in terms of what I said to people. LBD just broke that open. It was just like, "I'll say anything to anybody, I don't
mm,
care anymore. I'm gonna die anyway, so
yeah,
what the fuck," And that was so liberating. I remember one of the first dark shadow support groups I did after my diagnosis, I found myself just sort of talking off the cuff. And it was like, What am I doing? What am I doing? This is dangerous." And then I was thinking, no, it's not dangerous. It feels really good, kind of thing. So that was another change that was precipitated by it. And there were all sorts of other things. Um, oh, one of the biggest was I've been an atheist my entire life. And I'm not talking like armchair atheist. I'm talking like die hard, like there is no God. you know, get your facts straight. There's no
right.
God. My parents were atheists. Their parents were atheists. I mean, it was a long line of atheists. And suddenly, I wasn't just believing in God. I was feeling the experience of God in my life, which is very, very difficult to describe, but just a palpable sensation of something greater than me in my life and helping me and loving me. I mean, these are huge changes that I could never have engineered on my own. So, I mean, the obvious sort of pat observation is sometimes the thing that you would fear the most can bring the greatest benefits to you, but it was so much more than that and so much deeper than that. Um, I don't even remember the question I'm
Doesn't
answering, but
matter. It's like,
but
who cares?
okay.
Shit. That's so good. Yeah, no, that's so good. So yeah, we were just talking about like, what advice would you give? But it's just sort of like it sounds like be open,
My advice, be
you know.
open to whatever life is offering you and don't think you know. Sometimes the best possible lessons can come in the worst possible, scariest
Mm,
form. If you had told me I was gonna get LBD, I would have been horrified, horrified. My father died of LBD. I watched him go down. It was not a pretty sight. And yet, in many ways, it's been the best thing that ever happened to me.
thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's interesting on the atheism. I remember you kind of say like you'd go to friends' houses and your mom would be like, "Yeah, did they say a blessing? And, did you defend against it?"
Oh, I remember literally sleeping over at a friend's house, and, the mother asked her son, my friend, to lead us through the Lord's Prayer, and they noticed that I wasn't praying, and she asked me afterwards, "Barry, why weren't you praying?" And I said, "Well, first of all, I'm Jewish, I'm not Christian, so I don't say the Lord's Prayer, but secondly, God doesn't exist." And I said it that
Yeah.
definitively, like, "You
Yeah,
ignorant slut,
right,
why are you"
pass the green beans, ma.
Exactly.
Yeah. You're
Yeah,
like, can you not have that that Barry kid over anymore?
yeah, yeah. Oh, that was
He's a
it.
real
That was
wonder."
that was and I went home, and my mother was so proud of me, she couldn't stop talking about it. It was just it was
That's
crazy.
so wild. Yeah, and one reason and I kinda come to your work or you and Phil's work as from someone who's always had, a sense of faith, and I appreciate that, it certainly not only, like, fits within a framework of someone who has a strong faith, but it also, has a role for me to even increase that faith, and so I've
That's
really
great.
appreciated that, and so I know that you guys, you know, it works for everybody, and but I
Yeah,
do think for me, um, it plays a nice role and integrates well with, believing
Yeah.
that, like, "All right, I'm worthy and I'm loved," and, and all of that
Yeah.
good stuff, so
Yeah. Yeah. In my family, part of this whole thing came because my father's father committed suicide, and the Jewish community refused to
mm.
bury him in a Jewish cemetery. And my father was actually very religious. He was actually bar mitzvahed twice because he had two uncles that were presidents of rival synagogues. Poor guy.
That's like a Seinfeld
Um,
episode or like a Curb Your yeah,
is
he doubled the
exactly.
mitzvah, right?
Exactly, and then they don't bury his
Oh,
father. My father was just shattered. I mean, he swore he would never enter a synagogue again for the rest of his life, and he became a diehard atheist, and that's the way I was raised, was like, "Who the fuck's gonna trust this ridiculous institution?" kinda thing.
yeah, yeah,
So,
and meanwhile, I've, like, looked back and I'm like, "Your great" I feel like everyone's been a preacher at some point in my family, so I'm just waiting
yeah,
for I'm like,
yeah,
"Okay, that's probably my next turn." It's like,
right.
"Your
At some point, you're just gonna
great-great-grandfather was
start
an Anglican priest,"
Right. At some point, you're gonna just start
it's
speaking in
coming.
tongues, and it's gonna come
Oh,
through
it's
you.
coming. I'm just waiting, I think that's the path, first you get on the berry train, and then after that, that's sort of
Right. I'm
you're
the
the
entry
entry drug.
drug.
Next the tongues come if you really
You've got the perfect accent for it too, though. You've got that it's just perfect.
yeah, I mean, some people probably think I'm speaking in tongues, just I'm speaking regular.
Just right, exactly.
I'm like, "No, that's just how I sound." Oh gosh. Alright, let's see, what else did I have for you? We talked dog frustration. Oh, I've got this is another one. Are you ready for
Yeah.
another one?
Yeah,
So right
sure.
now my kids are 16. I've got a daughter that's 16, a son that's 14, and a daughter that's 11. I know
Wow.
your kids are a little bit older, but um any tips for parenting teenagers?
Oh,
Tools or
boy.
shadow work for parenting the teens?
I'll tell you a story. One time when my kids were teens, my wife and I were having such a hard time with them. I mean, it's such a difficult period. We went out to a movie together. I don't think we even watched the movie. I think we just cried because it's so baffling and so difficult. And despite your best efforts, and, my wife is brilliant. I mean, she's really, truly brilliant. And I'm smart, but we're completely
Oh, yeah.
outmatched by our kids. Completely. Yeah. So you just do the
Yeah.
best you can, hope
Yeah.
for the
Yeah. You
best.
got I was talking to somebody about it, and they're like, "Well, the good thing about parenting fells is that you get lots of opportunities to try again."
Yeah,
You're like, "All right,
exactly.
well, sorry." I don't know if it was just maybe yesterday, day before, my 11-year-old Lucy, she has a hard time getting up, getting ready to go to
Yeah.
school, and so I'm like, "Okay, I'm trying to parent in love," but I'm having to drive her to school, and she's running super late, and she's making her lunch, and she's chopping up a piece of celery in the tiniest little slivers of I mean, just, like, no sense of urgency at all, just like
Right.
I'm like,
Right.
"Lucy, like, you're late already, and you are, like,
Right.
you cannot slice it any thinner," and so I was like, "I'll heat up this broccoli cheddar soup for you," and I think I stuck it in the microwave too long, and I went to take it out, burned my hand, dropped, like, broccoli cheddar all over me, all over the floor. So I thought I succeeded by just not losing my shit, not just being like, "Wow." So I stayed calm, but, there's lots of other ways to make your kids suffer, and so
Yeah.
I think I was cleaning it up on my hands and knees, like, in near tears, and I'm like, "Lucy, can you just please be aware of the time?" And I'm, like, thinking, like, "Coulda probably handled that, 1,000 ways better," but
I don't know, maybe that's a good way to handle it. You like showing her the reality of
Yeah, yeah, your
parenthood.
dad's on his hands and knees in tears.
You've driven me to tears. I'm on my hands and
The
knees.
celery, you didn't even need to chop the celery, listen. You coulda just, you know, eaten it. Alright.
I don't know. I haven't figured it out, to be honest with you. I know I love my kids. I adore how they turned out, but I don't at all feel
Mm,
responsible for it. I really don't. I mean, I did the best I could, but I don't think I made them into who they are. I think they came out almost fully formed from the beginning. It was and proof of that is the fact that they're very, very
mm,
different from one another. It's, like, hard to believe they came from the same parents, the same gene pool. Um, but God, it sounds so trite, but for me, what I finally decided was my job is to
mm,
love them and provide them with as much stability as I can, and the rest of it's up to God. I mean, I don't know what makes how this works. Are you ki And I would read the parenting manuals, and it just seemed like, "Are you joking? Like, will you have all the time in the world? Like, you don't have a job or something? Like, what are you talking
yeah.
about?"
No, just throw those manuals out. Yeah, I got a
Yeah.
text from my daughter right before I came on. Rosalie was, like, texting me, and I'm like, I have a very important, uh, interview to be on." But she's like, "Are you okay, dad, if I don't, do flag football this year?" And she's never really done team sport. She played tennis a little bit, and I was like, "Yeah, I don't care." Like, she's like, "Well, okay, because there's a meeting today, and I really don't think I'm really care about doing it." And I was like, "I don't know, I'm glad you asked, but I'm like, remember when you were 3 years old, you vowed to never play soccer because you just didn't wanna be a part of the team." So I'm like, you
There
came
you
out
go.
being like, I'd prefer not to be on that team." So
Yeah.
I think she's
Yeah.
yeah, she's got it figured out. We'll just let
Yeah.
her keep doing what she's doing.
Yeah. God, when I used to read the parenting manuals, I finally actually decided I just have to stop. Like, it's too it's too on the nose, it's too demanding, and what I really don't like about the parenting manuals is that there's a tone in them of, like, there is a way to do this right, and I never found it. I could
Well,
it
I mean,
was
you see that in everything and all that. I don't know. You're not. I don't spending too much time looking through Instagram Reels, hopefully. But now, man, it's like everything is like this is the way to achieve maximum flow, or this is the way. And every
right.
every bro or everybody's got their way to solve all of your problems. You know. So yeah, I think even for that, it's probably better just to keep your phone in your pocket. But I
I'll tell you one thing, I did use tools a lot with my kids, not on them, on me, to keep myself regulated,
yeah
basically,
yeah.
myself from
There was a tool I used when I think we were back in Hawaii, and at some point, I don't know, Rosalie's phone chipped, and she wanted us to, like, immediately go to make sure that the screen didn't and I don't know, like, and I was about
right.
to just, like, throw the phone into the wilderness, and I'm trying to remember what tool it was. It's where, like, you sort of just imagine her being on the operating table and, like, all of the
Oh,
black I don't know,
yes.
all of the black yeah,
Sacred
yeah.
observation, I
So
think. Yeah,
that that
yeah.
got me
Oh,
that got
that's
me through
great.
that that trip.
That's great.
Yeah.
Quick
Yeah,
thinking
yeah,
too,
well,
that's amazing.
I had some help on that one, but I was like, we'll let her do her thing, she can
Yeah,
rage, and I'll just kind of like,
exactly.
I'll just
I'm gonna let those surgeons
they
operate
can
on her, and I'm gonna stay
yeah.
up
But
here
see, that's
in
one
the
that you're like, "Oh, we gotta find where's sacred observation in the list?"
it's on the
Okay.
website. So,
Don't
yeah,
feel any pressure to organize or chronicle. Yeah,
find it.
don't go find it.
Okay.
What do you think so I know, with some of my clinical work, like, if anything, like and I think we talked about this too a little bit last time, like, some of the work that I do is taking more of a psychology turn. I
Yeah,
enjoy
that's great.
talking. Yeah, I enjoy that interaction a lot more than just like, well, let's increase your med by 5 milligrams.
Yeah,
But trying to figure out like what that looks like from a technical standpoint is like, I've already done all this training. But even if you were to go back and get some specific credential to do it, a lot of that, s- and I think you probably discovered this too. Like a lot of the training that you had wasn't the stuff that you ended up using or ended up really helping out your practice. Is that something that you'd still say like you discovered?
absolutely. Yeah, I don't mean to disparage the training or the education I got, but it certainly didn't prepare me to do therapy or to help people. It was very clinical, very theoretical. A lot of it was based on Freud, which was kind of a nightmare. Um, no, it was really I didn't know how to help people until I met Phil Stutz, and he was like a revelation because my mother was a shrink, so I knew a lot of shrinks through her, and they were all very intellectual, very professorial,
Goatees and things.
goatees and yeah. In fact, my mother knew so many shrinks. I used to compare them to potted plants because when I walked out the door of my bedroom, there were always a bunch of shrinks, out there. It was like, oh, Jesus. So
You're
I
like,
used to tell her, you're raising me in an abusive environment here.
yeah, you gotta, like, army crawl out of the house before you get
Jesus. Yeah.
analyzed.
Can I get
Yeah.
out the door without
Right,
being
right, right.
analyzed?
How many
Exactly.
neuroses
Oh,
do I have before I get out?
oh my God. Yeah. In fact, I remember trying to remember this. I can't remember it. It was something like I walked out the door to my bedroom, and I looked at this it was like, literally like a potted plant. This shrink was standing outside my door. And I said, "What are you doing here?" And he said, "Why do you ask that question?" It's like, "Oh my god, just shoot me now."
Oh, that's great. That's so creepy.
It's wrong. It was
That
so
is so
creepy.
creepy. He's like, "Hmm." He had a pipe going on. He's, like, relighting the
Exactly,
pipe.
exactly. "I'm gonna have a talk with your
Yeah.
mother about
Oh,
this."
wow. It's amazing you turned out as well as you did then, huh? You
Very
did you did
lucky.
you did alright coming out of that. I mean, it
Was
took a
very
while.
lucky. I I'll tell you, one of the seminal moments in my life was the way I met Phil Stutz was that my mother was having some problems with my sister, and she invited Judy and me to a session with Phil, and I had never met Phil before, and we went into his, apartment, and we sat down, and my mother started she started really literally crying about my sister, and, he let her go on for a little while, and then he said, "Okay, Tony, shut up." And it was like, "What the fuck?" Because nobody told my mother to shut up, and I'd never met a shrink who would say that, you know? And I I just suddenly started listening at that moment, and I never stopped because everything he said was brilliant. It
They
was
left his
amazing.
house and you, like, went back in, you were like, high five, you're like, "Hey, man, we gotta get
I
together."
called him the next day and said, "I must study with you. You must take me."
You Luke Skywalkered on that guy.
My god.
Train
Yes.
me, Phil, train me. Was he pretty?
Yes.
Did
Yeah.
you have to pester him a little bit, or was he pretty open to working with you?
He was pretty open to working with me at that point. He was sort of at the beginning of he had just moved to Los Angeles, so he was kinda starting out too. But he was a revelation to me. I mean, I'd never seen a shrink be as blunt and as bold as he was. I liked him so much that my wife, at some point, I came out of a phone session that I was doing with someone, and she said, Barry, are you aware that when you do therapy, you talk in a New York accent?" And it was true. I just, like, swallowed him.
I would do one, but I don't have a good New York accent.
Yeah, I don't
That's
anymore either,
amazing.
but yeah. yeah.
You were like, "Honey, we gotta move to, like, a crappy apartment that smells like dirty
Exactly,
socks.
exactly.
I just
Dirty
really
socks,
need to
no,
move
yeah.
there."
I need
Yeah.
the
I
ambiance.
do my best work there. Oh, man. Well,
So
what a beautiful, a beautiful, partnership you guys have had.
oh my god, yeah, yeah,
It's tricky because it is I think there to be able to have that or find that, especially if I feel like I'm a little bit like you in that, uh, I don't I haven't had a mentor like that, um, and I think for some of us that haven't had that, I mean, when I was in residency, certainly had, like, attendings that I latched onto, and I'm still even today, there's a guy that I'm, like, quoting his mannerisms. He was his last
right,
name's Riviello, and he was very handsy, and so I was quoting him to a
right.
mom today, and I was like, "What is the cognitive price we pay for a spike?" And it's just it, like,
That's
gets in
great.
you, you know?
Yeah, it really does. You just sort of drink them up and become them for a little while, and then hopefully develop your own style
Right,
on top
yeah.
of
Yeah,
that.
you have your own flavors, right? But, yeah, but to be able to do
But
that.
you almost need that. You almost need that to start out, because you don't have any professional identity at that point, so you kinda have to borrow someone
Oh,
else's
yeah.
for
No,
a
I
while.
remember I started out and I was like, "Okay, I'm a neurologist, so I'll wear bow ties and crisp white
Right,
coats." You know what? No. And so, I look at these old pictures of me and I'm like, tie and and then, of course, I became, like, Maui neurologist guy with, like, like, nah, I gotta can sort of be a little bit more laid back and you can find your personality, within the
right.
practice. And then eventually you s you stop caring so much what everyone really
Yeah, yeah,
thinks, and then or start,
exactly. Yeah,
stop caring, like, what the establishment thinks. I think that's a I don't know if you had to go
yeah.
through that as much or not of like, well, how does the psychology establishment view me? Or if you guys were doing such great work, you were like, "Eh, we don't really care."
I've always been a little rebellious, so the establishment didn't it was almost to me like if I'm violating the
You're
establishment, I'm
doing right, right,
on the right
right.
path, kind of and Phil is
Yeah.
like that too.
So that's a good
So
guide.
yeah. Yeah. I think eventually though, you just find your own style and language and theoretical orientation, and it just feels like it's you
Mhm.
then at that point. You're not I don't talk in a New York accent anymore. I'd be pretty freaked out if I did.
Oh, man. Ashley, are we doing alright? She's gone
She's
again.
gone.
I have to go back inside because my babysitter has to leave
I
me.
could go for I was like,
I could too. I wanted to ask you all kinds of questions. How did you discover Malcolm Guite?
through, I, like, intermittently I think this is being an English major, I would, like, intermittently go through I would
Is that
oh,
alright?
yeah,
Do
I
you have
got
time?
time. I'm just
Okay, great.
hanging out. No, I would intermittently, like, go through phases where I felt like I needed to smoke a pipe. Eh
Oh.
I was like, "Oh, yeah, you're an English major." I was like, I'll try to pipe smoke." So I'd have, like, a few pipes, and then I could never and then my next door neighbor growing up, his dad was a old, like, army guy, was in Vietnam, scary
Oh,
guy. I would ride with him in a sweet but scary, like, I would ride in the back of his truck, and he would, like super dry sense of humor, he would look at me and be like, "Don't let your feet touch the ground, son." And I was like, "Ugh," so I would, like,
Jesus.
keep my feet in the air the whole time. But anyway, he had a little back shed, and he would, like, always smoke his pipe, and it would just smelled good back there. So anyway, I'm terrible at getting the pipe going, and I think I found, like, Malcolm Guite has, like, hundreds of videos, and they're fascinating. They're on YouTube, and so he's, like, smoking a pipe. He's telling you about which pipe
Yeah.
he's got.
Oh, that's right, and he usually, like,
Yeah, he's like,
invites
"Come"
you into
I
his
don't know
little place.
who is, like, the person going into his office, but he's like, "Come
Right,
on,
right, right.
come on in," or
Yeah.
they'll be in Scotland, and he's like, "Ah, come on in, you found me." And, so, yeah, I started, like, listening to him, and, of course, he's like a what is he, like, a C.S. Lewis scholar, and I so I
Yeah. Yeah,
he I think he's actually an Anglican priest too,
he
yeah, of course,
is,
I've
yeah.
got a guy that's smoking a pipe that's an Anglican priest that loves literature. I'm like, I'm all over that. what's not to like?
Heaven.
He's got the messy office,
Yeah,
um, so
yeah.
he's fantastic, and then, uh, I don't know if it was at Omega or somewhere I heard you mention him. It might have been if you were doing a poetry reading or something, and it
Uh,
just elevated you. I mean, you were already like, "Alright, Barry's pretty good,"
um,
and then you dropped
uh,
Malcolm Guite in there, and I was like,
yeah.
"Oh, that's
But he's
so good."
so brilliant. I mean, he's so erudite. I actually met him, I did Gwyneth Paltrow's organization, Goop, sponsored a conference in London. I can't remember when this was, but, Judy and I traveled to London, and then I thought, "God, I'm in England, maybe I could go meet him," and so I contacted him, and he said he'd meet with me, and I got to meet him, and it was so cool. I mean, he's like a little elf,
Well,
you know?
he's got the hair.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
you're
it's
like,
just exactly what you would imagine.
yeah.
Just
Did
amazing.
you you didn't get to did you get to go into his office and he was like, "Come on in." He's like, got the
No,
pipe.
no, we met at a pub
Really?
someplace, yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah. But
Was it
he's
as,
a
like, great as you think it would be? Or
It wasn't. I was expecting something more, like, magical and grand, and, he was more concerned about getting the food ordered. Like,
it's like,
"You're Malcolm
man,
Guite, what do
it's
you"
that never
you
meet
know?
your it's that what is it? Never meet your heroes
Uh
thing, like,
Yeah, exactly. I kept trying to prompt him with questions about Coleridge and stuff like that, and he was more like, "I don't know, this food is cold."
this burger's overdone. Ah."
Yeah,
You're the smartest, coolest man
yeah,
I've
like,
ever
"What are you
seen."
Jesus, you wrote this fucking book on Coleridge. What are you"
He's like, "Alright, get out of here. I gotta go."
Yeah, it was pretty
Like,
much like
that's
that.
like, I was telling Ashley, Lauren and I went to see, Waiting for Godot, and on Broadway, I'm like, Lauren's always she's like the least interested in celebrity, like, she just doesn't care. Like, we were in Hawaii, and it's like with all these people around us, she just could care less. But she loves Keanu Reeves, like every woman of her age, like, she grew up watching Speed, every day or whatever. So we had, like, really good seats. We were a couple rows back, and the play was, like, amazing, like, it was so good. And so, anyway, I guess we went to the little lounge beforehand, so our coats were up there, and I didn't like,
Mhm,
if we would've she hates it, like, I'm like, "Look," there was, like, this actress right next to us. I'm like, "She's clearly waiting for Keanu, like, if we wanna see him, we can see him." And Lauren's just like, "She's
right.
not gonna do that." And so we went up to wait for our coats. And then here comes like Keanu, at the end. And he's everyone's like the sweetest guy in Hollywood or whatever. And so somebody asked
Right.
for a picture. Lauren would never do this. And for some reason, she was like, I kind of sort of asked for a picture. I think he didn't even look up to her credit, but he goes in like perfect Keanu. He's like, oh, no, not now, or something. And poor Lauren was just like, she's never been rejected by a man in her whole life. You should have seen her she was like so crushed.
Like, crushed.
I'm
Oh,
like,
that's so
sweetheart, it wasn't you. Like if he would have seen you
uh,
and your beauty, I'm like, I don't want any man to not, like he needs to pay
yeah.
more attention to you, dear. But it was the same sort of thing. It was like, well, never meet your heroes, baby. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. There's such clay feet. It's
We're all human beings, just tried our best. He just finished a pretty tough play, I match.
Yeah, exactly. Those guys are so
Oh
wiped
my
out after play.
gosh,
It's
yeah.
just yeah.
But anyway, well, that's amazing. It's almost a better story that, like, that it
It is
sucked,
definitely,
you know?
definitely. It was hilarious. I came home afterwards, I just kept shaking my head to Judy, it was like, "It was nothing, like, we didn't even talk." It
Wait,
was what the fuck?
I just wasted 3 hours
Yeah,
of my life.
right.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, I guess
So
you're out there, you're immune to these folks are all just we're all just folks,
yeah, whatever. Exactly, exactly. I love his podcasts, though. They're just I've learned so much from him.
He's
It's
so smart. I mean,
amazing.
it's always he's one of these people that I would be like, so intimidated because the guy's so smart.
So
You're like,
smart.
you just feel like you just sit there and we'll be like, you know, but well,
Alright, well, it's
hey,
great
yeah,
to talk to
thanks
you.
for taking the time.
Are you kidding? I
I'm
love
gonna
it.
tell Ashley,
I
like, we'll
enjoyed
just
it.
make this a standing, Thursday.
A regular invitation.
Don't even
Yeah.
you don't have to put it out and then I'm just meeting with Barry. It's Thursday at 2.
Honestly, I'd love to meet with you once a week.
Do it. Put it
It's
on the
fine
books.
for me.
Send me a
Yeah,
bill. Don't send me a bill.
Oh my gosh, you guys are
I'm
too
serious.
funny. We might have to
Put it on
do
the
this.
books, Ashley. I need some time with Barry.
Yeah?
I'm gonna be
Okay.
peppering I'm gonna be peppering him with questions. Who else
I
has
love it.
disappointed you, Barry?
Oh my god, it's gonna take years.